Hi, welcome to Learning Leaders Spotlight, the podcast where we interview the learning leaders of today to help the learning leaders of tomorrow. I'm Leanne Langford, your host. I'm the president of Training Pros. Training Pros is a learning and development contract staffing company. We like to say, when you have more projects than people, let us find you the right L&D professional to start your project with confidence. I am really excited about my guest today. Today we have Roger Petho. He is the director of talent management at Kyndryl. Say hi.
Hey, everyone. This is Roger Petho. Nice to meet you, Leanne. Great to be here as well.
I'm so happy to have you here. We had such a good conversation getting ready for this that I think this is going to be a great podcast. So I'm going to just dive right in. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thanks for having me, number one. So I'm Director of Talent Management at Kyndryl. My role there is I'm the global process owner for everything talent planning and succession planning related. And we are on a journey right now at an organization to build out a number of HR processes. And so my role is to develop what talent planning will look like and succession planning will look like across the organization from beginning to end. And so I have the chance to work with many different stakeholders, but my role is making sure that we have a robust process to identify our talent in the organization and to make sure they are in the right roles to help deliver on our many different objectives for the business. And I've been with Kyndryl now for about 8 months now. So it's been a great journey so far. I'm very happy to be here.
Your role sounds really interesting to me. I studied a lot of that in school, did not get to do a lot of that in corporate because I leaned L&D versus the talent management side, but it's such interesting topics.
Definitely.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about how you got attracted over to talent management as a career?
Yeah, that's great. What I remember when I was starting in college, I was really attracted to the field of psychology. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy understanding how people think and why they think that way. And so I remember in college, I took a class that was industrial organizational psychology. And this is applying psychological principles in the workplace. And I was like, this is really interesting because you could take these principles I've been learning about and apply it to challenges within an organization. How do I help an organization be more productive? Or how do I help employees, deal with the challenges they have on a day-to-day basis? And so I took a couple of courses on it and I was like, this is actually a pretty cool track for me to explore. It's like, I can develop these programs, processes, and really make an impact across the organization and help their bottom line at the same way. And so I've been in the field of talent management for almost 20 years and worked for many different organizations, large and small. But what's really kept me engaged all this time is just making a difference within the individual, but also at the corporate level and seeing the direct effects of some of the work I've done. So if it's building a leadership program, if it's identifying a way to identify high potential employees, for example, I can see the direct correlation between that work and then what the output is for the organization and see by doing that, this company has increased their revenue, increased growth. So it's for me, it's really interesting to see that direct correlation between the work I'm doing and the output in organizations. That's what's kept me attracted to talent management in the field for all these years.
So I love that. It's always an interesting story to hear how we found the love that we have in
Sure,
our life.
absolutely.
There's been a lot of changes in the last 5 years in corporate. What are the biggest changes you've seen in talent management?
Yeah, I think the embrace of technology has been a thing that I've seen, and I'm very happy with that. And I think leveraging things like AI, machine learning, LXPs, I've seen more and more organizations, even the ones that I'm part of, have been really open and receptive to leveraging the power of technology to improve how we do things. And so if I think about talent management, for example, there's been a lot of buzz around talent marketplace, for example. This is, this system where an employee can kind of go on, look for jobs, opportunities within the organization and rely to their own career interests. And it's all done by AI and machine learning. And, I think that the fact that companies are willing to embrace this technology and invest in this technology, which is very talent management focused. I mean, it takes kind of the core basics and core principles of talent management and just supercharges it. And the fact that companies are willing to invest there, I think is a great thing. And I've seen technology really kind of ramp up how even the embrace of human capital management systems. I think every company now has one, and the fact that even 5-10 years ago everything was done on spreadsheets, and now it's all kind of centralized, and now from there other pieces of technology are on top of that. I think that's a great thing. So what I'm seeing is that the embrace of technology is making the job and life of the employee and managers from an HR talent perspective much easier, that they have data at their fingertips. They're able to make informed decisions with the data that's already there, and that leads to actionable, measurable outcomes. So I think, having this mindset of being okay with leveraging technology and seeing what's out there and embracing it. And I've even seen there's just an explosion of vendors out there who are selling different pieces of technology. And the fact that, there's space for that. I think a great thing for the field in itself, that we're saying, okay, we're okay with this. We're not scared of it. We're not going to shy away from it. We're going to glean it and see what technology can do for us. And at the end of the day, how it can really help the business.
I love that. Um, where do you see talent management going maybe 5 years from now? Where
Yeah, that was a good question, because I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, technology again is definitely important. But I think, the macroeconomic environment is just so ambiguous and in such a state of flux these days. Inflation, political situations that are out there, global economic uncertainty. And what I'm thinking is that there'll be greater and greater scrutiny and focus on what happens within talent management in particular. And are we delivering on what we say we're going to deliver? And I think more organizations will start to take a deeper look at that. And then I think we'll always have to justify our existence in a sense and deliver value even faster. We can't just ride on our coattails or just promise something, never deliver. I think the fact that organizations are taking a harder look at it costs, personnel, hiring, that means we have to work that much faster to deliver the value that we're intended to deliver. So we have to be, as a field, really moving faster to understand the business, moving faster to deliver results. Doing less with more, I think, is another one. Like, just there's not much out there. Like, we're not going to be. I think we're in an environment for a while. We just hire armies of people and just throw work at bodies. It's like we'll have to wear many hats. And so I think, in the next 5 years, you'll probably see these talent management functions shrink versus grow, and the workload will increase. But to be successful, you'll have to be okay with that kind of environment and say, I'm willing to do more with less. I'm willing to move faster. And I'm okay with delivering value even faster than before. Because there's less patience than there is. So I think if you can be successful in that kind of environment, I think that would be, a great thing to have.
so who has been your most influential professional mentor in your career?
Yeah. So I have a mentor. I've been working with her for 20 years or so. She was one of the first managers I ever had. And this is someone who I won't say her name, but she knows who she is. She's been one of the most giving people that I know out there. She's willing to invest time and energy into developing her mentees. And so this person that I know, she runs her own consulting firm, and she takes on interns, and those interns become lifelong mentees of this person. And so I'm one of her interns. And so I've been working with her for 20 years. And so having a mentor is so important for me personally. I've dealt with many career challenges, setbacks, issues, and she's my go-to for any kind of help I need. And the great thing about this person is she's always willing to lend an ear and lend a hand and just give great advice. And so I personally think having a mentor is probably one of the most invaluable things you could do as a professional in this field, is having someone that you can bounce ideas off and just be an ear to listen to. So I'm just so grateful to have someone in my life that I can turn to for any kind of challenges that I have, and that this person has been there throughout my life. And just, any kind of professional success, I could probably tie it back to this individual and just her advice and her guidance. And so I'm just grateful for her. But for me, having her in my life as a mentor has been immensely valuable. So if anyone's thinking about looking for a mentor, do that. I think having a mentor is important. So that's the person that's been really instrumental in my success in my life.
So I love two things about your story. First of all, you really acknowledge the role and the influence that a mentor has had in your life, how much they helped you in your career. Secondly, you are still talking to your mentor 20 years later.
20 years later, yes. Yes. And like I said, this person is very successful at what they do. And they don't have to they don't have there's nothing in it for them. Maybe I guess there is because I'm sure they get something out of mentoring, but the fact that this person has been okay with me reaching out to them every so often, I think it's a great thing. Like you said, like 20 years knowing someone and having that person being a mentor. And I fully expect them to be a mentor even going forward. And even if I grow in my career and achieve greater and greater things, this person she'll always be a mentor to me no matter what. And so, and I've always, and what's funny is I've always repaid the favor to her as well. And I don't want to say favor, but I've always repaid it to her because she has, mentees or like former interns of hers. And I've been very willing to jump in and mentor those interns as well. And so like, it's this really cyclical relationship where she's mentoring me, I'm mentoring some of her mentees as well. So I try to pay it forward for those groups. And so I see the value of mentor and also see the value of being a mentor as well. And so whenever someone comes to me and asks me for my advice, I'm always willing to jump in and just be a sounding board. So whenever you have the chance to either have a mentor or even be a mentor, I think that's always a plus. It can never hurt. Can only help.
It's fantastic. You're making me think through all of my different mentorship situations, and I think that it's one of those things that we in talent management and L&D, we always want to be part of doing something like that because we're givers by nature, I think.
Yes, yes, that's absolutely 100% true. We are givers by nature, and we always want to give back. I think that's for me personally. That's why I'm in the field is just helping others. And so whenever I have the opportunity to even give back to the field or to help a colleague or to help someone that's brand new to the field of talent management or L&D, I'm always like, yes, I'm all about paying things forward. I'm all about helping it wherever I can. So I think, having that opportunity to do so for me is personally very gratifying.
Fantastic. So, what skill is the hardest for you to find talent for right now?
Yeah. I think if I think about it from a talent management perspective, I think within talent management as a field, I think it's hard to find those that have a true sense of business acumen. And what I mean is not necessarily like knowing the business and like being an expert on technology or marketing, whatever it is, but having the mindset whereas that what I do is in service of the business, in service of the company, organization. And whatever I develop has to be fit for purpose. I think there could be a tendency to kind of fall back into academic solutions or academic approaches. But in the corporate environment, that doesn't work. I mean, just the patience and the pace within an organization is just not there. So you have to move really fast. And so if you can understand where the business is coming from, understanding their challenges at a macro level, I think that will help you as a professional develop the right kind of solutions. So if you know the business is moving very fast in a certain way, I can develop the right kind of solutions to help that business in that environment. So I think that's one. I think the other is this idea of dealing with ambiguity and change. Because like I said before, it's just like the pace of change is increasing exponentially, especially lately, it feels like. And so if you can be comfortable in that environment and be okay with not having the answers or being okay with things changing on a day in and day out basis, I think that could also help you become successful. Even in my role right now, we're at the stage where we're building out a lot of HR processes. And so There's no playbook. There's no defined roadmap. I mean, so you kind of be okay in that environment where I may not have an answer. I'll do what I can. I'll move forward as best as I can, but the solution I come up with today may change tomorrow, and being okay with that. So I think if you can have that mindset where you embrace change, you embrace ambiguity, I think that will definitely be in service. And even in the kind of the broader corporate environment, I think that's even important as well, not just in talent or L&D or HR. I think just being okay with change and the pace of change, because the rate of skills, whatever skills are popular today or whatever skills are in demand today will change tomorrow. And being okay with that flexible, ambiguous environment, I think is really important. So having that embrace of change and ambiguity, I think is really important for anyone to be successful in today and tomorrow's, marketplace.
I feel like it goes beyond just being successful in business or in talent management. Like the ability to deal with this rapid change is
Yes.
important to get through life today.
That's 100%. I mean, you just think about like the external environment, just, technology. 2 years ago, AI was barely a thing that anyone even knew. I mean, people knew about it, but it was kind of more academics, now it's sort of like it's a buzzword. Everyone has kind of heard about ChatGPT, AI, or machine learning. So like, and now I think even AI, for example, has increased what it can do is it's a lot more in the last 2 years. And so again, if you can like embrace that, I think you'll be okay. Because just things are just moving at such a rapid clip that sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, even for myself. It's the thing I knew about today, now tomorrow it's no longer relevant. So I have to push myself to keep learning. So I think that is important. I think, and that last thing I think about is having this learning mindset. And if you have this idea of dealing with change, the rapid pace of change, and being okay with keeping pace with it, and being open to learn about these new things as they come out, being open to learn about AI, machine learning, any other kind of any piece of technology coming out. If you can embrace that and be willing to learn about it, or not be an expert, but at least have some level of knowledge, be somewhat coherent about it, I think can be really important.
Agree completely.
Yes.
So, where do you get your industry news and information?
Yeah. So my LinkedIn is with the way I've structured LinkedIn for me personally is that I follow as many thought leaders as I possibly can. And so when I go into LinkedIn in the morning, it's sort of like my newspaper in the sense where I've seen every single latest update. So I follow HBR, Harvard Business Review, is probably number one, just from a kind of what's going on within the realm of business. What are some of the trends? What are our leaders facing? What are some of their challenges? That's always been a big one for me. There's also other thought leaders I follow, like Josh Person, for example. He did a lot now, especially in just kind of demystifying some of the trends within HR, L&D, talent. What's happening in the realm of the technology, how we're embracing it as a function. What are some of the trends we should be aware of, embracing? There's things like ATD, SIOP, just what's happening kind of at that level. So I follow those different thought leaders and publications, and it helps me to stay up to date on what's happening. I try to follow anyone that looks remotely interesting. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow that person on LinkedIn and stay up to date on what their thinking is and what they're doing. So yeah, I just use LinkedIn as much as I possibly can to just stay up to speed on what's happening out there in the world of HR, L&D, and talent.
LinkedIn is a great aggregator of
Yes.
everything that is out there. And if you're, as you said, if depending on who you follow, your LinkedIn feed changes. So, the more time I spend on one person post, suddenly they're in my feed every time.
Yep.
It's a very smart aggregator. if you want.
It's great. Yeah, and it brings the information to you. I mean, you don't have to go finding out what's happening. What is Adam Grant saying in the world of psychology, or Josh Person and HR kind of brings it to me. So that's how I've used LinkedIn, just to bring the information to me to stay up to date on what's happening externally.
Yeah, it's so important to figure out a strategy for staying up to date because it's so hard. It's so much to go through and so much information out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just going back to the pace of change, it's increasing exponentially. And so this is just one way to keep up to date on what's happening
Mhm.
externally.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so here comes my favorite question. What is the one book that you would recommend anyone wanting to move into leadership read?
Yeah. So my book is the One Page Talent Management. That's by Mark Efron. That is a really, for anyone that's interested in talent management in particular, this is it. Mark Efron has been in the field of talent in HR for many years, and he's definitely a thought leader that I personally follow in HR. And so he's done a lot of research on what are some of the trends in HR, what's the perspective of the C-suite, the CHROs, what are they thinking of? And so this book sort of distills that down to the things that are important for talent leadership professionals. And what the book does is gives you of like, here are some of the things, some of the challenges that you'll face in an organization from talent management, leadership development practitioner. Goal setting, for example, is always a challenge. Performance management is a challenge, or how do you develop your leaders? But what he does in the book is give you really practical advice on how to do that and to make that as easy as possible as for your organization. So what he does in the book is he takes kind of these academic principles and makes it literally a one page. Like, okay, here's an academic principle on goal setting, like all the research. Okay, let's take all that and okay, how do we get goal setting effective? They've been making it very, very easy for managers and the business to understand. So if you're trying to distill the world of talent management down to something that's easily digestible by leaders in the organization, that would be my recommended book to read. It just makes, for me, it makes me a better practitioner. Like I can come up with a solution that's much more easier to digest from the business by this using some of the approaches that he has in the book. So that's my recommended book for anyone to read as to get into the talent management field, One Page Talent Management.
It sounds like a great book. I'd love to read it just to maybe it's applicable across many organizations and many fields.
Yes,
I don't
yes,
know.
for sure. For sure.
I have
For
not read
sure.
that one. Rogers, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you for taking the time to appear on our podcast and provide some content and some learning out there for the rest of the world. As my thank you, I would like to plant 5 trees in your name
Oh,
and I'll
thank
send you
you.
a certificate.
Thank you.
Our charity here at Training Pros, we plant trees around the world and we've planted close to 4,000 trees to date.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. And thanks for having me today. I really enjoyed the conversation. And then anytime you want me back, I'd love to be back and just, catch up again.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And that's it for this episode of Learning Leader Spotlight. Be sure to tune in next week.